Cannon Fodder can best be described as an action strategy shooting game. It was developed by Sensible Software and originally published by Virgin Interactive for the Amiga in 1993. It got rave reviews across the board from pretty much every Amiga magazine at the time, despite also causing controversy with its humorous take on war. Virgin soon ported the game to other home computer systems as well as to the following consoles: the Jaguar, the Mega Drive, the SNES and the 3DS. With my complaints about some other games being ported to the SNES, people could expect me to get a bug in my butt about this game. After all, the controls pretty much show themselves to be mouse controls pushed onto a pad. If you play the game for just 1 minute, you'll see what I mean. You move across here on the screen and then press a button to move to that point, or another button to shoot in that direction. Basically, in the game, the player directs troops through numerous missions, battling enemy infantry, vehicles and installations. The game is incredibly playable. Sure, the controls might be a little strange, it might also seem a little basic. And maybe in some ways it is, but it just works. But the graphics lack in quality, they make up for by having an amusing cuteness to them. Cannon Fodder doesn't really feature much music. There's no music during the missions themselves. Instead, these are accompanied by sounds such as birds, gunfire, explosions, and the screams of the dying. There are a few tunes that play during the breathing and debriefing scenes though, which really help to set the scene. Cannon Fodder's greatest strength though is its dark, humorous tone. This is what made some people originally love it, but what also caused it a lot of controversy. Its creators always talked about how they intended it to convey an anti-war message. Some reviewers and fans at the time recognised this, and in honesty, playing it now, it seems obvious to me. The problem is though that certain newspapers and soldier-related charities had real issues with the game. They thought that it was taking war and making it too light a subject, and basically taking the piss out of those who suffered and died in combat. Cannon Fodder though is a game I'd refer to as a classic, and unlike some other games from this time period, it's still very playable. This is in part down to its simplicity, but you also need to thank its dark sense of humour. This was a rare treat of a game, and the fact that there was a message hidden behind the action, back when other games just wanted to sell themselves to you as mindless action. This game was something more, it had a point. Well, every time a gravestone appears on the hill, every time you've lost a man, you can't help but mourn for the death of your soldier. They're not just a group of faceless numbers. The game, by giving them names, by allowing them to rank up, and by a cross being added to the hill for every time you lose a guy, well, it makes you start to really view them as people. You have favourites, and there's not many other games that achieve this, with the exception of the Fire Emblem and XCOM series. Okay, I'm going to have to score this game now, and I'm going to have to give it my first ever decimal score, because I just can't decide between giving the game a 7 and an 8. So, this is a 7.5. I was incredibly lucky with how I got this game. I went into a retro store, one which is usually stupidly expensive. I mean, they charge like £15 for really battered old copies of that NES cartridge that contains Super Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt on the same cart. Even when they've had like 3 copies of that in at a time, they still bought £15 for it. And all they wanted for this game was £4. Having looked online, you can get a cart copy of this game in PAL for about £13. I've even seen box copies for £25. It's totally worth it if you're a SNES fan and you want something different. Good price, but it's important to note that this game was available on so many systems, and you might be able to get a cheaper version on another format if you're, basically own different systems. Have a look about. Some of them, even like the Amiga version, have little things that are missing from the SNES version, such as a title song with amusing lyrics. Anyway, that was Cannon Fodder, and that was another one of my 150 SNES game reviews. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.